So within Google Chrome, if you have a Google account, you can go ahead and click on this menu. It'll pop open, and then in here, it might be in a different order, but you're going to want to click on slides. And then it'll take you to this screen. Once you're here, you're going to want to go ahead and click on blank slide. So then the screen will pop up. And this is essentially where you're going to be creating your graphic. So the first thing that we want to know is that there are different themes that you can choose from. So if you didn't have a set design in mind, or maybe wanted to use something that's already here, you can go ahead and scroll through these and choose one. So I'll show you an example of what that may look like. Maybe I wanted this geometric theme, so that'll automatically put the background in this format. And if I go over here to this plus sign with the drop down arrow, I can choose a different drop down. So they also have within this theme a pink version if I wanted to use that, or this blue version. There's a one option. I'm going to go ahead and go to the simple, it's pretty much a blank slide. I'm going to go ahead and click off the themes. I just want to start from scratch. I'm going to go ahead and delete that second slide that I had added, and I'm going to just work on one slide. The way that this is going to work is going to be anything that you put on the slide is what's going to be turned into your graphic. So currently we have these two text boxes and a white background. We can go ahead and delete these text boxes. So we can just click and hit delete or backspace. And now we have this blank canvas to work with. So again, depending on the type of project that you are working on or graphic that you're creating, the dimensions are going to be different depending on the platform that you'll be sharing on. This current size is a widescreen format, so the ratio is 16:9. This is very typical for most of our screens. So maybe if you're working like on a video or on a widescreen slideshow that this is intended for, this is the size that you're going to want to work in. This is also the size that is going to fit for a Zoom background. So maybe if you're trying to create a Zoom background for your organization or campaign that you're working on, this would be the size to stick with. If you are not working in that format, then you can change the size of this canvas. So the way to do that is going to be, if you go over to your File tab on your menu bar, we're going to go ahead and click that, and we're going to scroll down to Page Setup down here. And then this window will pop up, and you can go ahead and change the dimensions of your file. So we have a standard 4:3, so that's a standard screen size. So it's a little bit less wide than a widescreen. And then we have our widescreen 16:9, which is the most typical size. We have 16:10, and we can also customize our own size. So if you're making a graphic for a platform that gives you specific sizes, you can go ahead and click custom, and then the window will change. And then it also gives you the option to change what increment or what unit increments you're gonna use. So right now it's on inches, but if we're working with digital platforms, a lot of the times they will give you the specified size in pixels. So let's go ahead and change it to pixels. So that's 960 by 540. So the more pixels you have, the higher quality it's going to be. So the less likely it is that your final graphic that you export is going to be pixelized or have low resolution. For a high definition screen, the dimensions are going to be 1920 by 1080. So what that means is if you're going to be using this graphic on an HD layer or format, then the graphic is not going to be pixelized. It's not going to have low resolution. Everything's going to show up crisp. So we're going to go ahead and apply that. So as you see, the proportions stayed the same. There's just going to be more pixels in there again to make sure that we are not going to get any low resolution or any pixelation in our graphic. So after we do that, we can go ahead and choose a background. So we're going to go ahead and click change background, and then it's going to give us this pop-up window. So here we have a couple of different options we can choose from. Again, we can go to where we initially started with the theme and choose one of those pre-designed backgrounds that were created. But a lot of the times we know we're designing for an existing brand or an existing organization that already has set colors and a set style that we should be following. So we're going to go ahead and hit background, and we can either choose a color. So if we have a color that we have in mind, we can choose that. And we can also choose custom. So again, if you have a pre-existing brand with designated colors, you can insert the hex color here, or you can choose with these options below. So I'm gonna go ahead and just pick this color. We're gonna click OK. And now you can see in the background has switched to that color. Another option that we have for our background is to choose an existing image. Maybe you have an image that you photographed, or there's a pattern that has already been predetermined for this that you'd continue wanting to use. Then you can go ahead and do that. You can either place it from your computer in here, or if it already exists on your Google Drive, if you have a Google account, then you can choose from your files from there. You can also do a Google image search. However, I recommend not doing this because there are copyright restrictions and infringements that you might violate if you're using an image without the permissions of the original user. Go ahead and upload from my computer, and I'm going to go ahead and choose a stock image that I already have the license for. I'm going to go ahead and choose this one. I'm going to go ahead and drag it and drop it and upload as my background. So there is my new background. It's that image that I uploaded, and it is now the background of my graphic. So the next thing I'm going to want to do is insert any logos or branding that are associated with the organization or campaign I am working on. So I'm going to go ahead and go over to the menu bar again, and I'm going to hit insert. I'm going to click image, and I'm going to upload from my computer. So in my files, I have the designated branding for my organization. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the logo that I want to use. I'm going to resize it. And since currently I'm formatting for a Zoom meeting background, I'm going to place my objects that I'm including in here on the outer margins of the graphic. And I'm doing this because when a user is going to be using this on Zoom, they're most likely going to be sitting in the middle. So anything that we put behind here, you're not going to be able to see when they're using this as a background. So we're going to go ahead and put this on the side. And maybe this is part of a campaign. I want to put the title of that or the call to action that we will be using for that, for this graphic. So we're going to go over here. I'm going to use text box. I'm going to go ahead and click and drag to add my text box. And I'm going to go ahead and put what I used for a previous Zoom background, which was I pledge. And we cannot see it right now, so I'm going to go ahead and highlight that. Change the font color to white. Now I can see what I'm typing. Pledge to end sexual violence. And we're going to go ahead and highlight that, and we're going to change the font size to something a lot bigger. And let's go ahead and change this to capitalized letters. And currently it's an Arial font, but we can go ahead and change that to a different font. Let's go ahead and do semi-bold. So unfortunately with Google Slides, it does have a set amount of fonts that you can use. So if your brand specifies a specific font that you want to use, these ones are the ones that are here. And then you can add them from Google Fonts. But again, if the font that you have to use is not there, you are going to have to choose an alternative font to use. I think we can make this a little bit bigger. And then I'm just moving that over to align it to the logo that's already there. One other thing that we can add on here is shapes. So right now, this text is kind of blending into the background. In some places, it's kind of hard to read. So I'm going to go ahead and add a shape behind that so it's just a little bit more legible. So we can do that by clicking on our menu tab up here. There's these shapes that we can choose from. Let's go ahead and use a little call out box. I'm going to go ahead and choose this one. And then you just click and drag, and it automatically colors it to these colors, but we can change the fill color. Wow, there's gradients. And then we're not going to choose a border color. And then as you can see right now, this is currently on top of my text. But we can change that by going to arrange, order, and then we're going to do send backward. So now our text is on top. That does not have very much contrast. So I'm going to go ahead and change the font color to this dark blue. There is my Zoom background that I created. So obviously this format is still in a Google slide format. There's no way to upload this onto Zoom. So what we're going to want to do now is we're going to go ahead and export this file as an image file. So the way to do that is to go over here to your menu bar. You're going to click on File. We're going to hit Download, and then it gives us a couple of different options. So for Zoom backgrounds, we're going to want to use an image file format. So we either have a JPEG or a PNG. Either one of those will work. I'm going to go ahead and do PNG just because that keeps a little bit more of the details in the images, and it doesn't compress it as much as the JPEG does. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. Again, you can choose either JPEG or PNG. And so after I click that, the file will automatically begin to download onto our computer. It will most likely go into a downloads folder or a predetermined folder that you might have determined in your settings. I'm going to go ahead and open that up. And so here is that full-size image that we created. This is now a PNG file, we can now upload that to our Zoom platform and use it as a background. So while this format may work for a variety of different platforms, again, do not forget that you have the option to change the size of your canvas or space that you're working on. If I wanted to make this into a square image that I might want to share on maybe Instagram or Facebook, I can just go up here and do the page setup again. We're going to go ahead and do custom, and I'm going to do pixels, and I'm going to do 1000 by 1000 pixels. That's going to ensure it's still going to be a good enough quality to look detailed on a phone screen. Anything under 800 pixels, it's going to start to become a little bit fuzzy. It's going to start to show some pixels. It's not going to be as clear. So I could recommend anything over 800 pixels when you're designing something on this platform. So I'm going to go ahead and click apply. So now it changed my artboard or my canvas that I was working on into a square. And I did squish things, so I'm going to go ahead and move things around. Again, since I'm going to be sharing this on a platform, I can move things on a different platform. I can move things to the center. And again, just like before, I'm going to go ahead and go to File, Download As, and we're going to do a PNG image. And here's my file that I can go ahead and share on Instagram or Facebook or whatever other platform I may choose. And then the last thing I wanted to share with you all is that this method doesn't only have to be used for digital files, but it can also be used for printed files. So maybe if you're creating like a flyer or a poster that you're going to be printing out, you can also use these same steps to create something like that. The suggestion that I have for that is going to be that when you are going to your page setup, again under File, Page Setup, that you are working under inches and that you set your width and your height to the actual size that you will be printing in. So what that means is that if you're printing an 11 by 17 poster, then you want to put 11 by 17. If you're going to go really big and print out a very large poster, maybe a 24 by 36 inch poster, you go ahead and do that. And the reason for this is that if you start out your design in a smaller size, maybe a letter size like 8.5 by 11, and then you want to take this file to a printing center, then they're gonna have to stretch that file, and then that's where you're gonna start to see like the pixels and blurriness, and just the quality of the image that you gave them is just going to start to deteriorate because those pixels weren't saved. So you want to make sure you're setting up your file size to those final dimensions that you're going to be printing it out to. So 11 by 17, I'm going to do that just because that's usually like the largest size you can print in an office printer or an at-home printer. I'm going to go ahead and hit apply. And again, as you can see, it changed my dimensions to those 11 by 17 proportions. For a poster, there's not going to be embedded links, things that people can click on, so you're going to want to include all the information that your audience needs to know when formatting a poster. So if this was an event that we wanted people to come to, then we would put the details here and maybe a website that people can visit if they needed more information. Okay, so now we have this poster. Obviously, it's going to be a little more eye-catching. If somebody's viewing this from far away, they'll know what the purpose of it is, and if they want to know more information on it, they can come up close and read the details. So then the way to save this, again, just like before, we're going to go to File, Download As, and for a printed document that you're going to be printing out, either yourself or taking it to a printing center, you're going to go ahead and want to save this as a PDF document. And we're going to go ahead and click PDF. And here is our PDF document that we created. Again, this was 11 by 17. So if we show our rulers, I'm going to go ahead and zoom out. It's 11 inches by 17 inches down here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you were able to take away some information on how to create designs. If you would like to learn more design principles and other techniques used in graphic design, go ahead and click on this video and enjoy your day.